Have you ever plugged in a camera and then set the focus and then thought to yourself, the most important thing about a good interview is sound? While it is a true statement, what's even more important is that you don't move the camera. I have to apologize in advance because quality of the video could kind of take away a bit from one of the most fantastic interviews with somebody who I've just got an incredible admiration for. So I want to give a big thanks to Brad Tompkins, who is somebody who's been leading the VMUG organization. Brad and I have talked a lot in the past. They are actually supporting the upcoming AWS reInvent experience presented by GTM Delta and Meyer Media. So super cool. Very proud to be able to host the VMUG community. But I wanted to give a throwback to not too long ago at VMware Explore when I sat down with Brad Tompkins and we talked about what was important to us as technologists and as a community of practice and what we can do in order to bring all of ourselves forward and bring others who may not realize that they've got access to these resources. So do make sure you go check out VMUG. And with that, this is the interview with Brad Tompkins. Pardon the focus. I even put a quick overlay just to remind you that I'm not actually generally this bad at it, but this was unfortunately a loss on my part. And I worried about the risk of not having it or putting it out with a little bit of a focus challenge. But listen in. This was a great conversation with Brad Tompkins. With that, let's get on to the good stuff.
We're just going to freeform. We'll go fast because I know I got to get you out of here pretty quick. This is as informal as it gets. This is it. I'll say it's the DiscoPosse podcast, but it's more just let's just chat. So I'm here, very lucky to be sharing some time here with the one and only Brad Tompkins. Brad, you've got a lot of stuff that you're doing here at VMware Explore. We've got an incredible community of people that are here as part of the VMUG. Of course, we're here in the VMUG Lounge. If people do get a chance, if you're at the event, do visit. And if you do not get a chance to meet us at the event, make sure you come by vmug.com, sign up. Membership is free. It's one of the best communities in the world other than just humans in general. But the reason is we've really built a strong, vibrant, I'll say almost like virulent community of practitioners that have a true community of purpose. And that's what I want to really quickly talk about. So Brad, if you don't mind, let's just do a quick introduction.
Sure.
And then we'll talk about the value of a community of purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Brad Tompkins and I'm the VMUG Executive Director. And that role encompasses just making sure that the VMUG organization is serving our members. Our mission is for our members to get the most out of VMware and partner solutions. And you mentioned that VMUG is free. Yep, membership is free. And membership is for end users, of course, but also partners and VMware employees.
Right.
You know, it takes everybody to be part of this global V community for us to achieve what we want to achieve and to share with each other and to network and all that good stuff that happens at VMUG. So it's for anybody. If you're even interested in learning more about VMware solutions, join VMUG, it's free.
And I got to say this because even before we talked at length recently about kind of what's next for the practitioner world, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously there's external partner solutions, there's opportunities to extend in what we do within the VMware technology community, but we're seeing much more engagement that's actually far-reaching, that one would say it was almost unexpected, but I think it's actually natural. Because this is a community of practice is people like birds of a feather. Mm-hmm. And the U in user group was always the core. Whether it was meant to be so strong or not, it has become that way. That people put VMUG on their resume.
That's right. And their LinkedIn profiles and those sort of things.
That's different. No one's been able to achieve that in other communities. How do we bottle that up and take this community further?
Right.
You know, and because those people then have adjacent new technologies and new methods that we're learning. So what do you see as an opportunity now as a VMUG member, and especially as obviously part of the leadership team, in what we can do to take this community practice into whatever's next?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of change going on in IT right now, but that is nothing new. I mean, I remember the original VMUGs. People were getting together and saying things like, how do you virtualize this? And yes, don't call the OEM, whatever app you're running and tell them it's virtualized, but we can get it to work. Here's the drivers and all the details that you needed. Now we're seeing that evolution again with multi-cloud and hybrid cloud. And it's interesting, our members are asking, like, how can I learn more? They realize that vSphere skill set that has served them well in the past, we've got to add to that. Like
right.
It's vSphere and it's server virtualization, and you can't just rest on server virtualization. And as people start to adopt SDDC and multi-cloud and those kind of things, we can do this together and we learn together. And so I think that's an interesting piece. And the technology, we're all geeks and we're all technologists, so we can learn that, right? We can have sessions and we can provide sessions. But what we're also seeing is an interest in the professional development side.
Right.
So what do I mean by that? Just the ability to communicate to a different audience that might not be your technical peers. The ability to sit at a table with the business units, and maybe there's marketing and there's finance and all these people there saying, I can help you get that app out quicker that's going to achieve your business goals. So now it's that shift from, hey, we just keep the blinky lights on, to we're business differentiators. And that's where our members want to go, and that's where we are working with our content to make sure that we have the content to get people there. And of course, working with many great people out in the community, VMware, but partners as well, to make sure we have that content is really a lot of fun, because it's more than just the tech side. And when people embrace that, their careers take off, and it could be, internally with their company, they start to see themselves rise up, maybe that
right.
director C-level position. Sometimes they get picked up by a partner or even VMware, but it's exciting to see the career growth. And when the team, we have this conversation often. Yes, we're a user group, and yes, we are the VMware User Group, and yes, we'll talk about that technology. We'll talk about vSphere. vSphere 8 was just announced. So yes,
right,
none of that's going away. But we're really in the career transformation business, and that's just exciting to be a part of. VMUG is such a great organization. I'm really honored to be the executive director and get to do what I do. It's an awesome job.
Well, having been a leader and go through that experience and knowing what you commit to it and really what we do that's beyond the event, like putting these things together, it's an incredible undertaking. And to the financial commitment to driving this community as a partnership with VMware, and just like, no one sees that. And it's tough. It's tough to try to explain people, like there's a lot that goes on that's beyond the hour that we get to spend in a presentation session. And so the work that goes on by this incredible team I've been hanging out with all morning here, and we've been chatting on this stuff, that's heroes' work. And but heroes are made of this, right? What's that email? What's the line that you read in an email that told you, I'm doing the right thing?
I think it's hearing from the members. I've got this one slide that we talk about, and we use it in many places, but it's all these tweets and LinkedIn's posts about, hey, I started getting involved in VMUG on a volunteer level, like a leader, or giving to different committees or thing, and that's what led me to X, and that
right.
led me to Y. And one of my favorite ones is Alan Renoff from a few years ago. He's like, if you ever think about presenting at a UserCon, that's how I got started. And he was just walking off the stage at VMworld back then with Pat Gelsinger on the main stage in Barcelona. And I'm like, wow, that's the stuff that really gets me jazzed, because you can see it, it changes people's career that can change their lives.
I can say that if you read any culture book out there, the thing that always gets said is, culture is how they behave when you're not looking. And that's the fact that when the VMUG ends, the community does not. When the events finish, the engagement continues. I think that's what we can embrace. So I look forward, we'll see what are the next opportunities that we can all do collectively as a user community, and we'll see what comes out of it. This is a fantastic event. And we've seen incredible announcements that have come up from the general session.
Yes.
And
just seen the evolution of the company. Obviously, there's a lot of news that's going on in the industry at large. The world's a little strange, but
Think about IT, it's always changing.
yeah, but as fast as it seems, there's a very slow, it's like steering a cruise ship sometimes, and I'm excited by what's ahead. If you look at second half of the year now, or I guess last quarter of the year, what's got you excited about what's coming before the calendar comes to a close this year?
Well, we started our user cons this year being back in person. We're going to continue with that. So that's been really exciting to get to see people face to face and have these events. And there's been some conversation about what is the future of all events. And one thing that's unique about VMUG is we've got that regional model. So we're not one big show that we come to San Fran and do it for 4 days. And these are great and we love these. It's more regional. And I think that can really help get more people involved and able to take advantage of it. It's no flights, it's no hotel room. It's just, come for the day. Our events are free as well. Consume the content and then, come in a few months and talk about it at a local meeting. Maybe not quite as big as a UserCon, but still, it's those touch points, because once the event's over, like you said, the community still goes, and it's that connection that it's like, oh, you know what, I talked to Eric about this deployment, and what did he tell me? Oh, let me call him up, because I know who he is, and we've built that relationship. So that's an exciting piece. So UserCon's being back has been great for us. We're happy about that. VMUG Advantage is another program that we're excited about. And that's something, you talk about taking your career to the next level. VMUG Advantage, there's a lot of different features to it, but one of the big things is eval experience. So that's where you get almost all the VMware software you can download in your home lab, not for production, but for your home lab.
Right.
But it's great for people to learn and to, a lot of times we learn by breaking it, right? So you break it and then you fixed it. You do that upgrade in your home lab before you do it in production. Or maybe you're studying for your VCP or your VCAP or maybe even VCDX. It's great to be able to give people that hands-on experience, because our members, they want that. They want to go deep. They want to do it themselves. They want to figure it out.
Right.
And whether you're running a Plex server at home or whatever, they're saying, all right, I'm going to run this on the SXI. I'm going to maybe do it with Tanzu and Kubernetes and those kind of things. So it's a lot of opportunity for them to learn there. So VMUG Advantage is great. That is a paid subscription, so it's on top of your free membership.
It's a nominal price. Like when you look at the price of education in general, like at this point, I would happily contribute as many of those Advantage memberships myself. And I think that's actually maybe, there you go. Idea just came up, right? How many collective community sponsors can we generate where we can say, like, let's buy on behalf, right? What can we do as far as grants to ensure that people get access to those tools? And so we'll talk further when the camera's off about that opportunity, because I truly have seen the win in people using those tools. And like I said, take the name off it, take the brand, like we got. In the end, it is what we do with those tools that's fantastic, and the peer community that can say, like, hey, I did this kind of fun thing.
Yeah.
And it lights up the nerd in me, and I'm excited by that. But like I said, career progressions. I just saw William Lamb was on stage.
Yes.
Seeing some of those early days of all these folks who were like me. They were bloggers. They were part of that early presenting community at VMUGs, and you don't need to do that, right? You don't need to present to be participating in this community effectively. You just need to show up.
Just show up. And, if you're curious about the type of sessions and keynotes that we have, it was interesting. Dave Moore has keynoted UserCons this year.
Yeah.
Amanda Blevins has done that.
Amanda's
Kit
fantastic.
Colbert, Amanda's fantastic. Sumit Dewan as well. So, that is the level that we get at our local UserCons. And that really shows the partnership that VMware has with VMUG. And a lot of people get confused, but I'll say that VMUG is an independent organization. So
right.
We're not part of VMware. Obviously, there's a relationship there and we're tightly aligned, but we're an independent org. So the support they give us is fantastic.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing to talk about is this idea of, and look, I came out of a vendor community for a long time where having to, people know that you got a business card that has a name on it, right? They know there's obviously, my paycheck comes from somewhere, but in the end, it's the outcomes you generate, and it's the lives you affect, and the way you do that. There's an integrity to how you operate, even as tightly bound as it may seem sometimes. Look, we have analyst firms that suffer from the same challenge. Sometimes people are like, well, of course it's like, we have to, be a part of this subscription to get noticed. Well, that obviously is part of enhancing, exposure. But in the end, this community requires nothing more than just showing up. And I've met genuine lifelong friends through it.
Absolutely.
And, you're one of them. Somebody who I know that when it comes time to fill a gig or do whatever or ask advice, it's nice to know that we've got this community of folks that are out there. When we want to go for a run, then we do it, right? And
that's right.
And that's, it's adjacencies, as I always say. It's the most important thing. It's not just what we do here, but what else we do. Because you find the videographers, photographers, guitarists, runners, hikers, whatever it is, that's what you meet there. You happen to use VMware technologies, but what connects you is the other stuff.
That's right. I often say, it's the technology that kind of brings the community together, but it's the community that keeps us coming back. And I think that's the key. And you're right. We're all using VMware, but those relationships go deeper, and that's where it's really, VMUG's this is like a family reunion.
It is. It truly is.
Friends that, gosh, we haven't seen in 2+ years because of the pandemic, and it's so exciting to see people giving out so many hugs and all that kind of stuff, because it's just great to see friends. It's bigger than the technology now.
That it is, and I think that's really and I mean, I know I can spend all day talking with you. I'll do my best to maximize the opportunity while we're here in San Francisco, but even beyond that, like I said, so there you go, folks. Go to vmug.com, do become a part of it. Even if you're not sure what the opportunity is for you, when you see this chance and you see the people in this community, whatever you think you need to learn, there's somebody else who's gone that same path.
That's right.
And even more importantly, there's somebody who's walked that path before you, who, when you climb a mountain, and the first thing you do when you get to the top is you reach down and you grab the hand of the next person climbing up. That's what this community does. So I think it's fantastic. So there you go. Brad, if people want to find you online, where do they do that? Yeah,
Twitter's the best place. My handle is @BradTompkins_. There's no H in Tompkins, so it's BradTompkins_. My DMs are open, so if you want to talk about the community, how to get involved, maybe I can introduce you to some of the local leaders, depending on where you are. Feel free to shoot me a DM. I get a lot of activity on that, which is fantastic. I'm a resource to help you get connected. Please utilize me, and that's probably the best way to get me is Twitter.
Twitter is I tell you, I don't know what we would do without it. It truly was an amazing part of what gave us the opportunity to create this community. It's kind of funny that was a connective tissue, but in the end, like I said, now what we've created. Twitter goes away, if whatever changes in the industry, you change the name of the software. In the end, what's going to matter is we're all going to survive and thrive in what's coming too. That's right. And that's what I do. So you want to learn Kubernetes, you find fellow Kubernetes learners and Kubernetes experts in this community. You want to find people that are looking about networking. It's out there, end user computing. And you don't need to take that all in. You get to be selective and choose. Where else can you just walk into a place and see this incredible menu of opportunity? Just check off. I'll take combo A, and I'll a la carte a couple of things on the bottom.
Yeah, and I mean, we all grew up with vSphere, and that's kind of the base. But to your point, you can take that base now and go in so many different directions. And it's within the VMware ecosystem, but it's outside of the ecosystem, with the all the relationships with the hyperscalers and everything else and all these other software that are out there. It's really exciting.
There you go, folks. vmug.com. We'll have links, of course, below. And thank you, Brad. This is fantastic. And this is what we do.
That's right.
I genuinely have to thank you for all that you've done for me personally, professionally, and for what you've done to so many people. I don't know if we can ever let you know how important it is what this community does for us. And
well, I appreciate the kind words, and that's it's the magic of the community, right? Yeah. It's not any one individual. It's all of us together, and we really, we the collective community can change people's lives. I've seen it happen numerous times, and it's awesome to be a part of it.
find your local VMUG chapter, become
That's
a
right.
part. And if you want to be a leader, if you want to be a part of that leadership community, there's lots of ways that you can do it without a significant commitment. It's a beautiful way to just get there and ask, hey, what do you need a little help with? And it brought me into a new world that has opened doors, and now literally has put a new name on my chest as a co-founder of a startup. And it's because of what happens in a lounge like this that brought me here today. So there you go, folks. VMUG.com. Do it. Get in there. Brad, I know I got to send you off to lunch to make more people incredibly happy to spend time with you. So with that, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.